We have Somalia. We have Yemen. In Yemen, the President of the United States gave the authorization to target and execute 3 American citizens. 3 American citizens. 2 in one drone strike, a cleric by the name of al-Awlaki, and a young American journalist that was with him, Samar Khan. And 2 weeks later, they targeted and killed al-Awlaki's 16-year-old son. And this was after a federal court case was filed in the United States by the grandfather of al-Awlaki, who said, "You've already targeted my kid twice. You've targeted him. Don't you think you as the President of the United States should have to present the evidence of why my son should be killed? Don't you think you ought to try to capture him? Don't you think you ought to try to bring him to court and let the evidence be there and have defense lawyers for him?" Well, before that case moved 1 inch, the President of the United States targeted him again and killed him. And then 2 weeks later, just killed the grandson. So we've had 3 American citizens that have been killed in the last 2 years. And now we have the American president that is saying that for our next director of the CIA, we should have a man, well, with an Irish last name, John Brennan. I'm sorry about that. He's bringing, in my opinion, ill will toward you all with that last name. Here we have a man who spent his whole life in the CIA, and during the Bush administration, he was a part of he was one of the architects of torture, the enhanced interrogation techniques that we have used in people in Abu Ghraib and prisons in Afghanistan and in Guantanamo. He's been a part of the extraordinary rendition program when he was the executive director of the CIA, of kidnapping and flying people all over the world to be tortured in secret prisons around the world. And that was one of the reasons why his nomination was withdrawn in 2009 with the the first Obama administration. There was such outcry about that. And yet now the second administration of Obama, they put his name back in for confirmation, and this is after he has been running the assassin drone program. So try to get that through. Well, last Thursday was the confirmation hearing for John Brennan. And you talk about trying to mobilize people to get them interested in what's going on, to acknowledge what's happening and to challenge our governments as they go into criminal acts, doing criminal acts. How do we stop these things? Well, for the drone program, we have been, sometimes peace groups and anti-war groups, the focus can change a little bit. Certain aspects of war are easier to use to mobilize people. In the United States, the number of U.S. deaths has been one of the things, of U.S. military. It's easier to use those than the thousands, tens of thousands more deaths of Afghans and Iraqis, but you use the death of your own citizen. Well, right now it seems like where we are getting the most traction in the anti-war movement and the peace groups is on this issue of drones. And we're getting people all over the United States who are going to military bases from where these drones are flown. They're operated from military bases in the United States. The drones that are flying in Afghanistan, for sure. The CIA's drones probably are being operated from Langley Air Base, or Langley in Virginia. So we are going to all of the military bases. Now there are some over 80 military bases in the United States that have some part of the drone program. So it gives us a rich field of targets of opportunity. And so now we have drone watches that are going on in at least 15 of these air bases. And we've had people who have been arrested at these air bases. And the arrests, as we all know, sometimes that's the only time you can get media, is when somebody crosses a line, when somebody is handcuffed. And that's when the media will show up to show, as you used it, what was that, the subversive by birth sort of thing, Well, that's, kind of what the media likes to see. They want to see people in handcuffs, and they might give a small little explanation of why that person is in a handcuff, but it does get media attention to the issue. So that's really what we're doing now. We are having people all over the country that are going to the local military base and finding out about what's being flown from there and challenging it by stepping over a line and getting arrested. We now have 2 people that are in jail, one that's been put in for 4 months and another for 6 months for putting one toe over an arbitrary line and being hauled into federal court and being thrown in jail for 6 months. 6 months at a time. Most of the time you don't get that much time. I've been arrested twice so far on these things. We've had 3 different trials throughout the country, and we'll be having probably another 8 trials by the end of this year, including one of mine. And that was last Thursday when John Brennan's confirmation hearing was held in the U.S. Congress. And that's when, that's right, that's when John Brennan, well, I don't know, did any of you all see this on TV? Well, it was on virtually every TV network in the United States and their international feeds. Because, it was a big deal. John Brennan, here is confirmation hearing. He's a controversial person with controversial programs that he's in charge of. Well, we had Code Pink Women for Peace and Veterans for Peace, and had about 30 people that got in line starting at 7 in the morning to make sure that we would get into that hearing. And when we got into it at 2:30 in the afternoon, we were the first persons in there, and we had our little signs and we were ready to go. So when Brennan walked into the hearing room before the gavel even fell down by the Senator Feinstein of the Senate Intelligence Committee, we were on our feet. Don't confirm John Brennan, arrest John Brennan, war criminal, assassin, drone guy. And yeah, that's thank you. So then Senator Feinstein gavelled the session into order, and anybody that was left standing got arrested. So 3 people were hauled out, yelling the whole way, "Assassin, assassin, John Brennan, assassin!" Out they went. So the next round, it was the senators welcoming this seasoned CIA person who's done so much for your country. We thank you for your service. 3 senators went on this. Finally, it was John Brennan's time to start talking about what good he had done for America. Well, I was the first one to stand up. I'm an Army colonel retired. I was a former diplomat. This man is an assassin. Get him out of here. He's killing people with drones. He's taken people and kidnapped them all over the world. And I got that out before Officer Tim came up and, excuse me, Ann, and I know him well. He's arrested me many different times in the Congress. That's enough, Ann, you got to come with me. And they know that we'll continue to yell all the way out. And actually, I wouldn't say they're our friends, but they do kind of get a kick out of what's going on. And they want to see what we're going to say. And we've actually turned a lot of those Capitol Police who were very pro-war back in 2002 and 2003 and 2004 and were rough as could be with us as we would be protesting the wars in the U.S. Congress, and as they hauled us out and put those cuffs on us and tightened them up until you thought your fingers were going to pop off. Now they don't do that. In fact, many a time you have to say, I think they're sliding off now. You might want to tighten them up a little bit. So here was Officer Tim hauling me out. And then as Toby Blume from San Francisco got up with a doll in her hand and stood on a chair. He's an assassin. He's killing women and children. And she was hauled off. And then Joanne Lingle, who is from Indiana. All these people flying in from all over the United States. And Joanne had a list of all of the names of the people in Pakistan that we know of that have been killed by the drones. And it was taped together. So when she said, and you, the Congress, don't seem to know who the names are. And Brennan says he doesn't know the names of the people that were killed, but I've got them right here. See, here it is. And all of this list flowing down. And as Joanne got hauled out. And all of these sorts of things that we are trying to use as a mechanism on national TV, on international TV, because you have to go to where the cameras are. They won't come to you, so you go to where they are. And The numbers of people that we have heard from that have seen this, that have said, what was going on about those drones? It's so important that we keep up the pressure wherever we find the openings to go after these things.